All right, so today we're going to be solving radical equations. So these right here, your Bell work, is just member factors of negative 30 to get 13. So negative 30 and 13. It's negative 3 and negative 10. Because there's no number in front of your x squared, you can write this straight into this form. You don't have to do grouping. It's equal to 0, so actually give me your zeros. That's 3 and 10. This one wants you to FOIL. Since it's a power 2, remember that means you have to write it twice. Don't just distribute the 2. It's like you have to multiply here, all 4 of those. You should be multiplying out 4 terms. So you get 4x squared minus 14x. And then combine your 2 middle terms. All right. So today our learning target is I can solve equations solving radical expressions. So there's about 4 different types of equations you can solve, and here are your steps. And I'm going to show you down here on how we get them. So the first thing we want to do is to get the radical by itself if there's a radical. So you're going to subtract your 15 over, divide your 10. At this point, to get rid of a square root, we're going to square both sides and then divide our 9. You can always plug this back in. Oh, this is invalid. Sorry. I didn't see there was a blank up there. So you can always plug this back into your calculator. So in your calculator, you would type 9 times 4, make sure that's all underneath it, and hit equals. And your calculator should say 75. If it doesn't, then you either had the work down here wrong or your problem's going to be extraneous. So in these types of problems, they're not going to be extraneous. I'll show you down here. These 2 types are the types that are going to have extraneous solutions. But you plug this in here and see, does your calculator give you 75? And it does. That means you were right. So if a radical equals a radical, all you have to do on these is square both sides. And then you should just be solving an equation from like algebra 1. A linear equation equals a linear equation. So remember, we're going to subtract my x from both sides. Subtract my 12. Divide your 2. So we need to plug in negative 2 to make sure it works. So you're going to have square root of, so this would be negative 6 plus 12 gives me square root of 6. And then on this side over here, negative 2 plus 8 gives me square root of 6. Those are equal. So our answer is correct. Now down here, this is the ones that are very, very important that you have to check because sometimes it gives you answers that are not correct. So this one, we're going to square both sides. And what happens is the square just cancels out the square root. And this becomes like our Bell work question. We have an x squared and an x that must equal 0 and factor to solve these. So add your 16 and minus your 10x over. Oops, I should have written that. Let me write this in the other form. The x should be the middle term. So if the x is in the middle, you're going to do 16 and negative 10. So then that gives me x minus 8, x minus 2. It equals 0. So that gives me an 8 and a 2. So you're going to want to plug that back in. Does 2 equal? So this is 20, oopsie plus. 20 plus negative 16 is 4. 2 does equal the square root of 4. Now let's check 8 to make sure it also works. So we're going to do 8 equals. So do 10 times 8 first is 80. 80 minus 16 is 64. And 8 does equal the square root of 64. So both of these work. Yay. All right, over here, you still have to get the radical by itself first. So subtract your 4. Now we're going to square both sides. This is like the Bell work. You have to write it twice in order to square it. You have to multiply all these terms out and get like terms. So when you do, you get x squared minus an 8x plus 16. And it's 8x because you have a minus 4 and a minus 4. That makes minus 8. Now I need this to equal 0, so I'm going to add my 3x and minus my 10. Factors of a positive 6 to get a negative 5. Make sure you play a positive 6 because this is a tricky one. So that's negative 2 and negative 3. So my zeros are 2 and 3. So let's check to see if they work. So I'm going to plug in 2. So here, I'm plugging it over here. And I need that to equal 2. Let's see if that's true. Negative 6 plus 10 would be 4. So square root of 4 plus 4. So that's 2 plus 4. That does not equal 2. So 2 is not a real solution. So let's check the 3 now. All right, so that's negative 9 plus 10. So that's the square root of 1 plus 4. Square root of 1 is 1. So that's 5. 5 does not equal 3. So this actually has no real solutions. Usually one of the two will at least work. This one has no real solutions. We call these right here extraneous. All right, so these are called extraneous solutions. So you see this word up here, extraneous, that's what that means. It means that sometimes when we get answers, they don't actually work in the equation.